Welcome to the SMO Podcast. My name is Whitney, and today I'll be asking each guest 7 questions in 7 minutes. Here is the first look of our guest that will be speaking live on our stage. Look below to see what you'll say differently. And here is our next episode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Whitney, and I'm here with the SMO Podcast. I'm here with today's guests. We have Magnolia on the SMO Podcast. Welcome. I'm excited for everyone that is watching. Can you tell us who you are and what do you do?
Hi, everyone. I'm Magnolia. I'm a brand and editorial designer who loves to work with founders and help them build brands and books with strategy, beauty, and ease, and all under my studio strength and grace.
I love that. So for the viewer and the listener right now, can you tell us a little bit about how you actually got started in the first place and what led you to take this path seriously?
So I went to school for marketing, and my first job right out of college was as the marketing and communications coordinator for the career services office at my university. And through there, I not only did strategy, but also dove deeply into design. Social media was brand new at the time, so I was doing social media graphics, event flyers, event branding. And I fell in love with design. I'm a self-taught designer. I learned InDesign, Illustrator, like on the job. We did career guides and annual guides. And after that, I went and worked in government. And through there, I learned branding. And after I became a stay-at-home mom, I've had the calling to come back and serve other women who are at home and building their own businesses, and to help them design their businesses, design any editorial work that they're putting out there with their message, and help it be more beautiful and easy. Because as you know, a homeschooling mom, my day is busy, and anything that I could do to make it easier is like a dream come true. So I want to be able to do that for other women founders, because design, it's a very integral part of the business process. And in our very competitive landscape, if you do not have branding for your business or whatever materials you're putting out, you will get lost, and no one will buy from you, which is the whole point of your business. And that is my passion, is to help other women stand out as I grow my business as well.
I love that. I can definitely tell for all the moms that are watching right now how relatable this really is for them. And so I would love to know, was there ever a moment where you felt like you wanted to quit but didn't?
Oh, I have from the very beginning. So this is actually my third time building the studio. The first time was 10 years ago when I moved to South Carolina with my fiance. Him and my whole family, they were encouraging me to go freelance because I also have an entrepreneurship degree from college. And I built the website, I did my logo, and I did nothing with it. So even before I started, I let fear stop me from pursuing something that I know I was good at and could do, because I was not certain that I would be able to help a business grow. And it wasn't until recently that I realized that I do not need to have certainty that their business will succeed. I just need to have certainty that the work that I am giving them is going to be the best product I could possibly give them. And when I launched in January and I decided to go full on and build my studio, I spent the whole month crying because it's really tough to put yourself out of your comfort zone and to wonder, how am I going to show up for my family in the same way? I was moving from a full-time stay-at-home mom, homeschooling, to now, God is calling me to build a business. And I wanted to do that, but, how do I juggle meal times? How do I juggle cleaning? How do I juggle, being present for my children and also honoring where the Holy Spirit was calling me? So that whole first month was a big mindset shift and struggle. And, thankfully I worked with a coach who helps me put it all together. And now 3 months later, it's, the best thing that I ever did was to just start.
Well, first of all, you said a handful there, and I think there was a lot of gems there that we need to kind of touch on a little bit. For instance, one thing that I would love to hear from you, just after hearing everything you're saying of juggling, the mom duties, but also being a business owner and also still having to take on every responsibility in every area of your life. Would you say that there was a mindset shift that changed everything for you? And did you ever feel, and what was that for you that made you actually find that balance?
Yes. So I'm still finding that balance. It's ever changing. I'm not trying to do it all. I just know that I'm the default parent. My husband works 12-hour days, and that's my responsibility is the home. And so it's every day waking up and reminding myself what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and who I'm doing it for. And it's so that my family has a different future, that I honor this call that I have inside of myself. And again, it was that moment when I was journaling in February, and I was trying to understand, why have I always stopped myself from pursuing the things and the dreams that I've always wanted to pursue in some cases. And it was because it's not that I lacked confidence, it's that I lacked clarity. So once I was able to unlock that shift, it really helped me to say, okay, I can do this, and I've got the tools, and whatever I don't know, I could learn along the way. And it was a whole process. Like, it's never easy, and I'm always reminding myself, even in the hard moments, I can do this. And God wouldn't have given me this vision if I wasn't able to. And just, I'm always like learning, last week it was cold, so we were doing homeschooling early. Now it's hot, so I'm doing it later in the afternoon. So it's about being able to be flexible and to shift and to know what you're able to do and what you're not, and just be okay with letting something sit for, another day.
So it sounds like your mindset shift came from just experience, came from learning as you go, and then, basically figuring out different systems for what works for you, what works for your family, what works for your business and for your time. I absolutely love that. That's such a great answer. I think where I'd love to take this direction, because I know that you're helping so many women right now around the world, and I would love to hear from you, just what is a transformation that you are helping them with right now?
With the transformation of taking their brand from maybe being a DIY brand that they put together in Canva, that it might feel a little unpolished or doesn't really reflect their message anymore, and take it to that next level to capture those clients who, want that bespoke messaging, who can look at you and say, okay, I understand what your message is, and I can, identify you from the hundreds of other brands who sell the same thing or say the same thing. So that's the transformation, is that you're going from, something very basic and that served you well for that season to your next season, because we're always growing, we're always scaling, and maybe what worked 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago no longer works today. And for, those who have been doing the design already on their own, to take some of that off your plate so that you can focus on the things that'll grow your business. One of the, we don't have to carry all the hats. God gave us all different strengths, and my strength is design. So if yours is not, give it all to me.
I love that so much. I love it because it's real, and everything that you're saying right now is it's truth, because I feel it in what you're saying, but also just the whole concept of there are times and seasons, and we need to be able to be flexible and to navigate through that. And so I think coming from someone that has worked closely with women and is, creating that transformation for them, not only, in their business, but in their life personally. Would you say that you want to be known for in this season is more of impact?
Yes, I would say that, because I realize that I'm doing everything that I'm doing in the margins of my day, and it may not seem like you can get a lot done, but when you compound it over a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 years, you actually can do so much. So that would be what it is, that impact that moms, we can build, we can manage our homes and our children and our families and the big visions that God gave us. You just have to do it all little by faithful little, and remember that it doesn't all have to get done in a day. It can take 3 years if it needs to, because we are all on our own timeline.
I love that. And I feel like you're really helping women be seen and be heard. I'd love to know for you, what does being seen and heard mean to you personally?
That's a really great question. I would say for me, being seen and heard is that my point of view is respected and and accepted. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with my perspective, but at least at least hear what I'm saying, and we can agree to disagree. Sometimes it's just about putting yourself out there, and so I would say that that would be me being that would be mine. Yeah.
I love that. I love that a lot. I think this conversation is definitely so like I feel just raw because you really are able to, I feel, speak from the heart, but also give, practical strategies. What is one thing right now that maybe there's a barrier that you help women break in order to become?
Yes. So one of the things that for tools that I personally have used to help me is it's called the margin hours. So I created a framework where you would lay out your morning margin, your afternoon margin, and your evening margin, and you would just write in one faithful thing that you can do in that time block that'll help move you forward to whatever your next goal is. And it's called the faithful margin framework because you would really think about how much time do you have in that block. 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. And you will write down, I have an hour. What can I get done faithfully that moves me forward? And that will really help you stack wins upon wins. And then you could look back and just realize like, oh, look, I really have moved things forward. You can get a lot done in 15 minutes when you set the phones aside and just concentrate and say, okay, this is the one task that I'm going to work on.
That's so good. And I love the idea of like taking those small steps first and really allowing yourself to build those habits. So over time, you can then, create it as kind of like a habit that just becomes natural. And so do you feel like that's what happened for you?
Yes, it really is because as I said, I only have very short margins. So it was forced me to say, okay, when are my children occupied? When can I really have uninterrupted time? When can I answer emails? And by doing that, I set up my own margin hours and I realized the mornings are my biggest block of time. I can set aside 2 hours to work on what needs to be done then. And in the afternoon, 1 hour. And then in the evening, like a half hour. I'm already tired by then. So it's really helped me to move things forward and say, oh, look, I can do 3.5 hours of work in the day. And it's gotten me so much.
I love that. So take us through like a day to day of, your business, of how you're just helping women despite all the tasks that you have going on in your household.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Of course. So take us through like a day to day of, the life of Magnolia when you are, helping a client and what that really looks like, in the midst of helping your household and taking on all those responsibilities.
So what does that look like is me waking up in the morning. I wake up at 4:30 to do, a half hour of scripture, journaling, my morning, get ready for the day, then a half hour of working out. And then I set aside 2 hours in the morning to work on the highest priority work that I have. So anytime I have a client, I, make sure that I don't even check email. I make sure, okay, that if I need to do design work, I'm getting that design work done with no interruptions and no distractions because I take your brand even more seriously than I take my own. It's like, you're giving me your baby and you trusting me with it. So I want to I dedicate the hours that are the most peaceful, to move that forward. And, then I always make sure that I send emails or text messages to my clients to say, this is the status of work. We do kickoff calls. I'm always communicating with them because I've learned from my husband, who's a project manager, that communication makes everything smoother. So I integrate that a lot into my workflow because if you're not showing, if you don't know what's going on, then there's like lack of trust there. So I always like to stay on top of communicating with my husband, communicating with my children, checking the time to make sure that I'm not, falling behind on the task that I've set for that day. Because to build a studio, busy as I am, you have to be very punctual and organized or it all can just fall apart.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely speaking to the moms right now in the sense of helping them, because even when you talk about like your own day to day, like you're giving practical strategies of really how we can start, planning our days effectively and to carve out more time for the things that matter most. I would love to, before we close this out, because I think those that are watching would absolutely love to connect with you. I'd love to know like where we can find you and how we can dive a little bit deeper into your message and pick your brain.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram or Threads at Strength Grace Co. I also just launched a YouTube series called In the Margins with Magnolia. So that's the channel name. And that's where I'll share a lot of the mindset shifts, my processes, my internal struggle, my external struggle. Through my channels there. You can always subscribe to my newsletter or book a session with me through my calendar.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Magnolia. This was an absolute pleasure. If you have watched this episode and maybe you did not take notes, make sure you go back, because there was a lot of wisdom in everything that she was saying and everything that Magnolia was breaking down for us. So go back, rewatch this episode, take notes this time, and make sure you connect with Magnolia. Magnolia, it was a pleasure. I'm excited to hopefully see you on one of our stages soon as a keynote speaker, and looking forward to just everything that's in store for you.
Thank you so much, Whitney. This has been so much fun. And I'll also love to give a freebie to anybody who's listening. You can download my Building in the Margins framework, and hopefully it'll help you build in the margins as well.